And starting our parade as every day so far is the oldest car we've got in the selection, I believe. And this is a white, it's an American car. And the main point I think we've made about the white, and we'll mention today, is that they were predominantly steam car builders. We know them in the steam world very much as one of the better class of steam car builder, but they also built internal combustion engine motor cars with petrol engines.
No question about that.
Well, it made the colour fade anyway.
It's a super little model of a Land Rover there. I don't know who the chap is in the back, but are we on a charity job?
And following our pink model Land Rover is our first Rolls-Royce of the day. My friend Steve Gardner is there immaculately attired in his very best 30s outfit with his ladies, which signifies it's the 30 horsepower, 4.25 litre engine car from 1937. Rolls-Royce before the war were producing a two-model range, the large 40-50 horsepower car, which they called the Phantom, and the smaller car, of which this was the current example from 1936 to 1938.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, just to dive back to the little Land Rover, it's actually a kit which you can buy and build for children. So you'll need one of those to go around the garden. She'll be able to reach the pedals easily now.
I'm hoping my daughter is old enough now to be driving the ride-on mower around the garden with purpose, actually, Andrew.
Oh, right, okay then. Rebel replicas, anyway. Saved on petrol, of course. Indestructible little car from my youth, which economical to run, easy to mend, the famous Bmw engine. Your grandmother had one, did she, for shopping?
Yes, my grandmother had one of these cars as her shopping car. The Daimler was kept for the chauffeur to drive. I mean, she very rarely went in the Daimler. I think he just used it as his personal transport.
Now, I know this one's a Vauxhall because you taught me about the scalloped top on the radiator and the bonnet yesterday.
Yes, and very, very typical of Vauxhall styling before the war, with the scalloped bonnet, which they had from the very start of their car production in this country.
Of course, but basically the same. Super little car, very reliable and indestructible.
Very nice to see them, because again, so many rusted away that they are actually quite a rare survivor from a large, huge production run in the 1950s to be available to be preserved and presented for us. And that is very similar with the car that follows, this green Vauxhall Viva. This is the model HA Viva, the first of the Viva series. And they were a very, very common and popular car in their time, but very few have survived into preservation. It's nice to see it.
Well, we got a Beetle. The Volkswagen Beetle, that's got the 1200 engine.
We have an Austin going past the commentary box now. This is an Austin 6-cylinder. I'm going to have a guess that it's a 12 or 14 horsepower. It's a 16, it's an Austin 16, 616. Austin produced a range of cars before the war in varying horsepowers, 10, 12, 14, 16 and 20. And they offered, in the mid-range, they offered them in both 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder versions. And the only difference, essentially, to the naked eye was the fact that the 6-cylinder ones would have the word 6 on the radiator. So here we can clearly see it. Yeah, I don't know what I had to drink last night, but it seems to have had some effect.
Now, we've got the Singapore lock, and we've got gentlemen came in and brought us all the information.
Yes, we were talking about that yesterday, weren't we?
Well, there you are. Look at all that. Absolutely right. He kindly brought us all the information. So. Because yesterday I was asking about the significance of Porlock, knowing there was a hill there.
And apparently the date that it climbed the Porlock Hill to acquire its, successfully of course, to acquire its name of the Porlock was in 1928 under RAC supervision, so that therefore it was an accredited record, you see. They couldn't just claim in their advertising that they'd done it without anybody verifying it. Charming car, and It was, apparently we're told it was the first Junior produced with wire wheels. There we are. We also see that the wire wheels include the brake drums.
Yeah, they're quite useful, aren't they? Especially on the front, because they were a bit optional on a lot of the cars.
Yes, at this time, 1928, front wheel brakes were becoming fairly standard, but weren't on everything. You could still buy an Austin 7 without them. The first bubble car of the day may even be the only one. This is a Bmw Isetta. The bubble car, as such, well known for cheap, very cheap motoring in the 1950s and 60s, was essentially built by 3 different German manufacturers. That was Heinkel with the Trojan, BMW with the Isetta, and Messerschmitt with the K200 series, all of which companies, you would think, ladies and gentlemen, had some 10 years or more previously, 15 years previously, been involved in aircraft manufacturers. Shall we gloss over that from that point onwards, Andrew?
Well, let's just say they weren't very friendly aircraft, were they, as far as we were concerned. Now then, again, you see, you're getting me, I'm doing better now. This is a Vauxhall, because we've got the scallops on the...
Well done, and yeah. I'm going to hazard a guess at a post-war one, but no. No, I'm still getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, it's from 1937, lovely. And the grandson of the original owner tells me he's just climbed out of the passenger seat of the car, ladies and gentlemen. So give him a wave as he drives round, please. There it is, in two-tone grey and dark blue coachwork. Very often you'd see cars of this era styled with the wings painted a different colour to the rest of the body.
Austin 10. Lovely little car. We've got the full air conditioning in action today on there, look, windscreen open.
This, I believe, is the Litchfield Saloon, and the particular feature of this car that makes it very rare is that it is one of the very few...
Now for something rather more exciting.
Jaguar XK150. We talked about the E-Type, and the final car of the series was a car of which this is a lovely example, this red sports car. And there's a saloon in a single tone of black. Well, we've got a Triumph now. Yes, as it goes round, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see this lovely Triumph saloon, 4-door saloon, and you'll see the almost square edges to the panel work, and that's what we call razor edge styling. And when it's not quite as sharp as in this example as it might be, it's what we call semi-razor edge.
I wouldn't say all about it, but it is definitely a Stingray, beautiful Corvette. What year is that, sir? 79. Yep, iconic example. It's been through a few variations, the Corvette, over the years.
Well, we got a Vauxhall 14.6 just gone past with it. I know that now because you taught me about the scallops on the top. Yeah.
And that's followed by our first Morris 8 of the day. It and provides excellent entry-level vintage motoring, in my opinion, today.
Austin Taxi. An FX3.
Yes, the forerunner, of course, of the FX4, whose styling continues right the way through to the modern day. These were the first of the post-war Austin FX series taxis, and were the standard taxi cab in London for about 15 or 20 years, only being replaced by the FX4 well into the 1960s.
A couple of Austin 7s coming along.
In contrasting styles, Andrew, with a saloon and then followed by an earlier chummy Tourer.
Now we had a look at this yesterday, the Stretch Mini. Probably about 3 minis there altogether, but
yes, one at each end and one in the middle, I think, Andrew. Yep.
You look very happy,
There's
Morris 10.4.
A lovely Morris 10, yes. The 4 signifying that it's got a 4-cylinder engine. I don't think Morris was fitting a 6-cylinder engine into their 10s.
Austin A30 or A30? A30, yeah.
Yes, it's got the small back window.
Oh, yes.
The distinguishing feature, Andrew, and we had to wait till the car went past, ladies and gentlemen, is that the rear window is considerably smaller on the A30 than it is on the A35. And now we've got the Saint. We've talked about the Saint quite a lot over the last 2 days.
Undoubtedly the most dashing car that Volvos have ever built, I'm sure.
Certainly the most stylish, one could argue. And a car that I always used to fancy when I was a young man is the Rolls Scimitar GTE. This was built by Reliance at Tamworth. It's got a fiberglass body. They, of course, were famous for the three-wheelers.
They were, but what people don't appreciate is how clever they were with fiberglass.
They were the leaders in fiberglass coachwork, without a doubt at the time. Yeah. And that car is fitted with a V6 Ford 3-litre engine, which made it quite a pokey motor in its day. I think the next car we've got to talk about is a post-war MG TF sports car. Very similar styling to their pre-war motor cars. They hadn't really started to move into the future until the MGA, which we saw go past earlier. And that is fitted with a dual cowl coachwork. Now we have an American car,
Plymouth Barracuda.
Car specialist.
Well, not a specialist, but a Plymouth Barracuda, but fastback, 1967. Beautiful example. Look at the colour scheme on that one. Rare to see a Barracuda.
Thank you, Richard.
There we are. Thanks, Rich. Number 90, Austin 10. With Holden cabriolet.
Well, I'm going to say with lovely cabriolet coachwork, quite unusual. You'll see how the hood folds down to leave the rear passengers fully exposed, while the driver is protected by a fixed windscreen and doors.
Austin 12 Ascot.
Austins love giving their cars names from pleasantly English places like Ascot and Tamworth, didn't they?
Oh, by Gareth Boxley from Longhope. Lovely to see it, isn't it?
1930 Citroën 12 horsepower Landaulet, it tells gentlemen. You could purchase it with either 3 wheels or 4, depending on how wealthy you felt, and indeed what sort of driving license you had.
Yes, we talked about this yesterday. If it didn't have a reverse gear and only 3 wheels, you could drive it on the motorbike license, couldn't you?
The thing is, this one has got a reverse gear, but you pretended when stopped, apprehended by a policeman on the side of the road,
no reverse, sir.
Couldn't possibly go backwards.
No.
And bringing up the rear of our display, we have a Morris Minor slightly later than the earlier saloon we saw. This one has got the single-piece windscreen, the more common style that came in by about 1955, I think.
We'd be overhead valve engine by now.
Oh yes, this is very much the A-series engine. The simpler and therefore cheaper side valve engine replaced the delightful but somewhat complex and expensive to make Woolsey overhead valve unit that had been fitted earlier.
Talking of complex engines, there'll be something complex under the bonnet of this beauty, won't there?
That'll be the Jaguar XK, which is their 6-cylinder twin overhead cam engine. This is the XK 150, the last of the series of beautiful sports cars that Jaguar produced through the 1950s and into the 60s as the forerunner to the E-Type. The XK came in a number of different sizes. The front end starts as a Model T Ford. The back end, which I noticed was chain driven, I'll leave you to your imagination, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course, Ford did quite a lot of these chain drive conversions. They turned some into tractors, didn't they?
Oh yes, you could. The Model T ended up doing all sorts of things, didn't it? I mean, it was not just the car, but the absolute workhorse of the American Midwest states for about 30 years, causing them to have to travel distances. They piled all their family belongings on the back of the Model T and set off to who knows where.
Right.
And we've just been told that this Model T dates from 1906, which is a very early one. You'll notice also in black, of course. We won't go to Henry Ford's legendary remark that apparently he didn't ever make. And we are also told that it is the oldest working hearse in the world. So I'm joining you, Andrew, in hoping that we have no need of it for many years to come.
Our ringmaster, Mike, is cracking the whip a bit and trying to keep to the timetable because particularly the birds of prey, we need to try and get into the ring on time and tie it in with aerobatic displays and goodness knows whatever else they're going to throw at us. Anyway, well done, Alan. You've got us through the cars safely with your copious knowledge as ever. So back to you, Rich.
It's a bit of a special nod to the fact that it's 100 years since the commencement of the hostilities. And of course this is the 2014 show, which marks the 50th anniversary here at the show. Not our 50th anniversary of Welland, but of course we've been at Welland for many years now. So as we clear the arena for the cars, we'll be...
Quite a lot of skill by the operator. Not like a modern JCB where if you're not sure what to do you can stop and look at the pictures on the control panel. With those it's a balance of the two winch drums which are worked by hand and the two brakes which you do with your feet. So you sit on a thing that looks a bit like a bicycle saddle and it requires hands and feet in coordination. If you get it wrong, it all unravels. So there's the two K7 Fowler ploughing engines at work and the cultivator just going up the field again. You see the top engine, winding the cultivator up the field. The other thing to go and have a look at as you wander across is the display of field marshal tractors of the only working field marshal powered railway loco, 3-foot gauge loco on a short stretch of track, just going up and down in front of the field marshal tractor display. So lots to see. There's all the trade stalls up behind the commentary point here. The Model 10 radio controlled trucks and excavators, the little radio controlled powered trucks. They've got a heap of soil in that tent which they're attacking with the models. The farmer's fair which Rich has mentioned. Across the other side of course we've got the fairground and all the showman's engines lined up there. Wonderful display of showman's engines there, full of history.
Good to see as well with the fairground as well, some of the traditional engines driving the machinery as well, driving as it was.
Yes, indeed. We last night Princess Marina was driving the big wheel, and they were being very naughty actually because they were holding the brake on the big wheel, and she was really shouting. And we were getting covered in soot, sitting quietly minding our own business, and then they'd put the brake on and really make her talk. Do you want to have a go at that item you've got there again, Rich?
Indeed, we have a call out for a Mr. Guilford. Mr. Guilford, Michael Guilford, if you can come and see us please at the commentary caravan. We have something to return to you, that's Mr. Guilford. A couple of things to mention, not only of course a fantastic display throughout the day with the various events that are taking place in the arena and so much happening around as well.
But the Wurzels are older than me.
The Wurzels are still going very strong and great entertainment, yeah, absolutely, very much so. By the parade of military vehicles at 1:15 or thereabouts, which will also include a demonstration of car crushing, which I imagine is why some of the cars in the arena are quite eager to get out.
Alan Lloyd Spencer's still there, so I don't know whether he's going to leave.
I'm not sure if that's the demonstration car for the car crushing, possibly. I know there's a couple of tanks.
I'd hazard a guess it is.
Yeah, we have at least one Sherman tank and a few other interesting military items joining us at 1:15. And talking of military items, an aircraft that was hugely popular with the military and also with civilian airlines, still in use around the world. So
right, so if we can get the last two cars out of the ring, we can get the models in. That'd be good.
So we need a couple that are in need of help.
We need a sturdy piece of string, please, and I'm sure the Kawasaki will be up to it. Good. Right, have we got 3 or 4 able-bodied folk that could just give us a push?
Chris, some volunteers, gents. We need to get the final vehicle that's in the arena moved, and a couple of able bodies will do.
Here we are, we got some.
Here we go, you see, volunteers are plenty.
Good, sturdy looking fellas. We could do with another one if we could. We'll carry on anyway because, yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah. We haven't mentioned the Great Welland Railway recently. Immediately across behind the cars you can see the tank Welland Steam Rally. We've got a full-sized loco there, a very unusual one, Balaferon. The only one surviving a very, very early engine on the railway track there. So have a wander over and see that.
It's been created to show the evolution of the show from the first gatherings in Ross-on-Wye to the event that you see today here at the Welland site. And that's in the history tent, which is right next door to the Woodside Garage tent, which also has a fantastic display of fabulous vintage vehicles, advertising, science tools, and much, much more. So you can join us in the arena. We're going to try and find the information. Hopefully we'll have all the information to hand on the front of the model so we know what we're talking about. Frantically looking through bits of paper.